What's going on, Twitch? How y'all feeling? Back at you for another one of these chill Q&A sessions. We're just going to build together. No freestyling today. Just answering your questions. So hopefully some people hop in here. We can start engaging in the energy exchange. Get a little dialogue going. I've been really enjoying doing these Q&A sessions. I wasn't sure how they were going to go over in the beginning. I didn't know if people were just going to say, oh, we just want to hear you freestyle. But so far it's been really dope. People have been asking great questions and inspiring me and causing me to dig a little deeper into my heart and my mind and find answers to some of these questions y'all are throwing at me. So I'm excited to make it happen today. What up, weird nerdy kid? Sammy Panis. What's going on? I'm chilling. Really you _ says, yo, what's going on, really you? Don Zach 90, what's poppin'? Kid Sleaze, Mod Squad tapping in. Let's go. Shout out to Aaron Nader, AR _ 111. Earl in the house, what's up? Aaron Nader is 4 for 4 on the Q&A sessions. That's dope. Appreciate you being here, Aaron. Viva Sativa 420 says, hey, Mac, loving these Q&A sessions, no doubt. Loving having you here for him. Thanks for tapping in. How we feeling? Let me just, because I'm such a perfectionist with this stuff, I'm actually going to just do this right now. I'm going to slide this camera a little to the right just to try to center myself. There we go. So yeah, go ahead, ask me anything, you guys. That's what we're here to do. I'm going to answer your questions. We're going to have a little build session together. No freestyling today, just talking, hanging out. Let's see, we got our first question here, it looks like. Weird nerdy kid. How do you balance producing, rapping, and other musical endeavors time-wise? That's a great question. It can be really tricky to find that balance. And to be honest with you, in an effort to, kind of focus myself, I haven't really been producing much. To be honest, I think, at a certain point, sometimes you have to make choices, at least for, a certain period of time when you really want to take a certain piece of your skill set to the next level. Sometimes it's a matter of choosing, as difficult as that can be. And there are people out there that are really good at balancing a lot of different activities at once, and they're able to really do every piece of it. We all know those great rapper producers that exist out there. For me, each part, production, rapping, freestyling, writing songs, each piece is like a lifetime's worth of knowledge, that there is to be chipped away at. So, it's it's hard when I'm making beats. It's kind of like I become obsessed with making beats, and that's all I put my time to, and then I miss out on a lot of opportunities as an MC and vice versa. So it got to the point where I think for me, the thing that speaks loudest in my heart is being an MC and rapping and freestyling and coming off top and speaking my voice. So as of now, man, I'm not really making a lot of beats. I had to make that choice. But for people who really want to do everything, you just have to be that much more on it in terms of managing your time and scheduling your time out and making sure everything's getting handled. And you got to really have a lot of energy that you're able to sustain throughout the day, because whether it's making beats, rapping, or any other creative endeavor, it requires a lot of your focus and a lot of your mental energy. So yeah, shout out Weird Nerdy Kid. Thank you for the question. Sammy says, first time caller, long time listener. What has been your biggest challenge this year? Man, tough to say. 2020 has obviously been a crazy year for a lot of people and for a lot of different reasons, with COVID probably being top of the list for most of us, right? Everything changed this year for everybody, and we're all in this together. So that's been really interesting to navigate. Luckily for me, a lot of the work that I do is based from home and it's based on the internet. So I've still been really fortunate in the sense that I've been able to connect with fans and continue working and staying productive through this time. And I know that not everybody has that same privilege. A lot of people aren't able to perform from home. The nature of my performance style, where it's all improvised and it actually sort of requires random input from the audience, it's the perfect thing for live streaming. But if you're a singer-songwriter, for example, or if you play in a jazz trio, you can't necessarily just stream for hours every night. You know, it doesn't quite work the same way. So I feel very lucky in that regard, and my heart definitely goes out to people who haven't had it that easy during 2020. So many people have been hit so hard by this, especially young entrepreneurs, people who are opening restaurants and things like that and just getting started and just getting off the ground. I can't imagine how painful this year has been for people in that position. I think for me, the biggest challenge hasn't actually been related to my career. It's been more related to my social life and being able to spend time with family and loved ones, you know, and being able to be close to the people that I care about. You know, I'm the only member of my family that lives here in LA. My family is up in Portland, Oregon. You know, I live with my girlfriend, and her family is all the way on the East Coast, which is even more difficult. And so that part has been really, really hard, you know, trying to figure out what's smart in terms of, you know, we don't want to obviously put our parents at risk or put our family members at risk. But, you know, at the same time, we want to make sure that we're able to see the people that we love and care about, especially during times like this where everybody's scared and you really need, you know, that support from the family. So I'd say that's been the biggest challenge for me in 2020, and still trying to figure that out and navigate that. So, you know, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, man, I'm looking forward to a future where things can go back to some version of normal. I'm hoping that we're right on the horizon of that. I guess we'll see. Thank you for the question, Sammy. Lou Daddick said, H-Mack, for whatever reason it is, do you have a personal favorite bar line that you spit over the years? That's a great question. There's been a few standout lines that were important to my trajectory. The first one actually happened on the very first YouTube video that I was ever a part of, which was before I even had my own YouTube channel. It was the Bounce House video, which I've talked about a lot, you know, on stream. It was a collaboration that I did with my friend Jacob Mann, who's a fantastic jazz pianist. And I freestyled over his beat while driving down Sunset Boulevard. And it was my first little taste of going viral on YouTube. First time I ever really showed my freestyling to the world. And there was this line in the freestyle that was kind of a standout line. It was the standout quotable that everybody was referencing in the comments and talking about. And it was this moment where there was a bicyclist, you know, a cyclist right in front of the car. And I had to hit the brakes and slow way down because the cyclist was right in front of me. Meanwhile, there was a bike lane right there to the right of us, right? So it didn't make any sense to me why the cyclist was in front of the car. So I had this line where I said, check it, yo, he doesn't use his left or his right brain. Why is he right here when he could be in the bike lane? And, Jacob, who was filming it on his iPhone, you hear this really genuine reaction from him where he kind of busts up laughing. And you can tell that it's real. Anytime that happens, you can tell that it's a real reaction, right? And that was the whole thing. A lot of people in the comments, they weren't familiar with what I do yet, and so they were saying, oh, this is staged, this is fake, he's driven this route 100 times, he knows all the street signs and businesses, there's no way this is really off top. But then the cyclist line kind of threw a monkey wrench in that theory because everyone could sense that that was a real genuine moment. And on top of that, unless the cyclist was a plant with like an earpiece and we timed it perfectly so that the cyclist pulls out in front of me right at that moment, which is 100% possible, right? But that's the only way in which that part would have been faked. And so it kind of was sort of proof to a certain degree that it was a real freestyle and I was really coming off the top. So that's one of my favorite lines is the bike lane line. I think my all-time favorite line I've ever spit was the Walter White line with Joey Badass, where I said, yo, my lyrics all be tight. I'm the freestyle chemist like Walter White. And the reason that's so important to me and the reason why that's on the banner on my YouTube channel and incorporated into some of my merch, is because that moment with Joey was so huge for me in my trajectory, in my career, in terms of that being the first time I got to be on a radio station, the first time I got a really big look from a hip hop platform, right? The Cruise Show is a respected hip hop show. And so that was my first time getting a major look like that from hip hop. And so that was huge. And then to get to meet Joey Badass and rap for him. And that was the line where Joey really reacted, and he really, he was, woo, he flipped when I did that Walter White line. He had thrown me the word chemist and I kind of free associated one step away to Breaking Bad and made the Walter White reference. And that was a huge moment for me. So, my favorite lines, oftentimes are the ones that just have memories associated with them. And so those two would be my favorite, 100%. Great question. Check that out. We got the hype train coming in on the Q&A. I love it. By the way, guys, sorry if I'm not stopping as much to shout people out while I'm answering the questions. We just want to make sure we're able to repurpose the Q&A content to all different platforms and things like that. And we have some exciting announcements with regard to that we're going to be talking about real soon. But if I'm not just stopping in the middle of my answer to say, hey, yo, thanks for the bits, thanks for the subscription, please don't take offense to that. It's not because I don't truly appreciate it. It's just for the Q&A sessions, we're going to see if we can, keep the audio somewhat clean. But while I'm stopped here, shout to ETTV, thank you for the bits. Shout to Player McPlayer gifting that sub, to Miss Chan Andler Bong, let's get it. And shout to Trollbert. Shout to Dennis Grimm. Thank you for the gift. Let's get it. Appreciate y'all. Great questions y'all are throwing too. I really appreciate it. Let's go. Let's see. What else we got? Will you continue those freestyle sessions outside? Gorilla Bars. Found you because of them. They are so fucking awesome. You are number one. Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying that. Yes, I definitely plan to get back out there for Gorilla Bars as soon as it's safe to do so. 100%. That's my roots, man. Getting out in front of people and being in the same energy sphere as the people I'm rapping for in the same physical space is a beautiful thing. So hopefully we can get back out there and do that soon. Shattered Chimp said, what's your favorite thing to cook? That's a great question. I like making tacos. I'm pretty good at it too. I like making all kinds of different tacos, cooking up different kinds of meat with different seasoning and incorporating different peppers into the pan and things like that. So I'm all about it, man. I love Mexican food. Face XX, where can we find your own beats? Can we buy it someday? Yeah, I'm gonna make the classic Harry Mack freestyle instrumentals available probably in the start of 2021. People have been asking me about those forever, since way back when those were the only beats I used to rhyme on stream and stuff. So I know there's a lot of people that want to have access to those beats. I'm definitely going to get those out to y'all ASAP. So just stay tuned. There's just a lot of sort of projects in motion right now that we're kind of seeing through. So, but that's definitely high on the list. I want to get those beats out to you guys. Thank you for the question. Let's see. Armani M said, how do you instantly come up with a hot bar on the spot so effortlessly? Well, being able to come up with dope bars on the spot and being able to do it effortlessly is 100% the result of many, many years of practice, right? It's really that simple. The fact that I've been freestyling for 18 years and the fact that I continue to practice daily, right, and continue to try to push my level forward and push the boundary of what I can do off top. That's the reason why I'm able to perform at all and make it look effortlessly, effortless, right? And the goal is to make it look effortless, right? And I think the only way to get there is through practice and continually trying to raise the bar. The things that I'm practicing are more advanced than the things that you hear in the streams, right? The things that I'm practicing are more advanced than the things that you hear in the Gorilla Bars videos or even the Omegle Bars videos, right? I'm working at, elevating and getting better. So when I'm in the practice space, and I've talked about this before, but it definitely bears repeating. When I'm in the practice space, I'm making a lot more mistakes. I'm taking way more risks. I'm challenging myself a lot more. I'm creating rules and restrictions to weed out some of the filler phrases or some of the weaker patterns that I kind of fall back on when I don't have a fresh idea. So in the practice room, I'm always reaching to sort of like the peak level. And so it creates this sort of headroom, right? It's like when you're in a Maserati that can go 300 miles per hour, for you to drive 60 on the freeway is easy. You have so much headroom above that. When I'm in my 2015 Scion, if I'm going uphill on a freeway, I'm lucky if I can maintain 60. I gotta floor it, right? Because there's no headroom in that car. It's not meant to go fast like that. It really doesn't have any power. So the reason why some of my freestyling appears effortless is because I'm practicing at a much higher level, right? So there's this natural sort of headroom. And over time, while the level that you're practicing increases, that sort of base level increases too. So the thing that you fall back to that sounds effortless is still a high level. Does that make sense? So basically, it all comes through practice, and when I'm performing, I'm trying not to force anything. I'm trying to just do what comes naturally and what comes effortlessly to me. So because I've been working at it for 18 years, sometimes hot bars come to me naturally and effortlessly, right? And I'm blessed. I'm thankful for that. And so we're just gonna keep on pushing. Great question. Let's see. Marshall, did you ever think about insuring your voice? Because it's the base of your income. That's hilarious. That's a great question. Can you insure your voice? If you have any info on that, let me know. I'm definitely practicing breath control and working on taking care of my voice so that I don't injure myself long term, but I don't know if I can insure it. Let's see. Steverson, 27. Did you ever have any of your closest friends not support you? How did you deal with that? No, I don't think I've ever had any of my closest friends not support me. I've had friends and acquaintances that maybe didn't see eye to eye with my vision, or friends or acquaintances that for whatever reason we grew apart. We went in different directions. It was no longer a positive experience for us to be hanging out together. I think everybody can relate to that. That's a really difficult thing. I was just talking about that with somebody the other day. When you're in a romantic relationship, it's very cut and dry for the most part. If it's, a monogamous relationship, which not every relationship is. But in the case of a monogamous relationship, it's very cut and dry. If it's not working out, eventually you're gonna break up with that person because, there's only one spot, right? For that romantic partner in a monogamous concept. So if it's not working out, you're gonna let go of that person so you can open that spot back up, right? You only get to have one. So you want to make sure that it's somebody that you're ready to, go the distance with, so to speak. But in the case of friendships, it's not that way. You can have a whole bunch of friends. You can have as many as you want. So it can be difficult when friends start growing apart. I think that's something that doesn't really get talked about. Nobody prepares you for that, But I'm lucky. I've never had any of my close friends not support me in terms of saying oh, I don't think you should do music. I don't think it's going to work out for you. Maybe this rap thing is the wrong move. I never had any of that, man. I'm really, really fortunate. Everybody that I've ever considered a friend has believed in me and what I'm doing. So I'm thankful for that. Great question. Aaronator, how much time a week do you put into freestyling? It really depends on how crazy the work is outside of me actually practicing, right? Ideally, I'd be able to practice for 2 or 3 hours by myself, not on stream, right? With no audience. 2 or 3 hours a day just in my space, working on the things that I know I need to work on. That would be ideal. I'd be lying if I said I'm able to maintain that right now. I'm not doing 2 or 3 hours of practice a day. Obviously, I'm streaming 8 hours a week and freestyling the whole time. I'm creating Omegle Bars style content, which involves me freestyling. I'm doing a lot of custom freestyles and virtual performances. And that's all great. But, as I've mentioned before, to me, practicing and performing are different, right? They're not the same thing. So just the fact that I'm getting out there and freestyling a lot in all these different capacities, it's cool. It's good. It definitely helps me maintain my current level, I think. It's maintenance work. But it doesn't help me elevate and go the places that I'm trying to go with the freestyle. That only happens in isolation, honestly, in the practice space, in the lab, right? So it all depends. One of my goals for 2021 is to have that 2 to 3 hours of practice carved out on a daily basis as much as possible so that I can have that. And beyond just being able to improve, that practice space is sacred to me, and having that time is really holy to me. It helps me a lot, not just improving as a freestyler, but it also helps me psychologically and with my mental health. It's very meditative for me to have that solitary space where I'm just working on the craft. So yeah, man, great question. No D said, please freestyle something about Thug Life and Tupac. Well, first of all, shout out to Tupac, one of the greatest to ever do it. But we're not freestyling today. Chill Q&A session, man. I'm just here building with you guys. answering questions. By the way, thank you everybody for coming through to this, man. I've really been blown away by the support for these kind of more low-key sessions where I'm not even rhyming, and it just means a lot to have fans that are tapping in here and hanging out with me. Really appreciate it. Speaking of, let's show some gratitude. Shout out again to Dennis Grimm coming through with those bits. Shout out to Ash Easdale. Thank you so much for subscribing with that Twitch Prime, 2 months strong. Let's get it. Sammy Boy 2038, thank you for the subscription. Lamafi, thanks for the bits. Let's go. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. D Wade Swag 01 said, when you're not freestyling or producing, what do you like to do? Yeah, when I'm not freestyling or producing, I like to read. I love reading. I'm super into books. Never liked reading as a kid, nor as a young adult. It came to me later, like 25, 26. I finally started saying, let me see if reading is for me. And I really took to it. So that's a later development in my life, but I love reading. I like chilling on the couch with my girl, watching TV. I like cooking, especially now during quarantine and everything. I've gotten really into cooking and experimenting with different flavors and things like that. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just learning through trial and error and having fun making things. But it feels good, to make your own food. I'm one of those people that when I was a young adult, man, I used to always eat out. I used to always swing by Chipotle or whatever it was, I would very rarely cook my own meals. So it feels good now. I don't know. I'm getting old or something. I'm maturing into this new role. But yeah, man, that's a few things that I like to do. I love going on walks. I don't think that's news to anybody that's listened to my freestyles, but I love going on walks, man. It sounds generic, right? But long walks, man, I'm all about it. I'm able to focus more when my body's moving. I'm sure you notice that with the hands going crazy while I'm rapping and everything. But it's hard for me to focus on the same task over and over if I'm not in motion. So I like walking. Great question. Schlafif, I've been in a bad place and you have uplifted me. Much love, Harry. No doubt, man. That's the goal every single time. That is the goal every single time. I'm so happy to hear that. And thank you for sharing that with me, because it really is inspiring for me. It really reminds me why I'm doing this. So I appreciate you giving me that perspective and keeping me focused on the real goal here. So that's what's up. That's what's up. Much love. GCRRR, Harry, you are the GOAT for doing these Q&As. No doubt, man. Glad you appreciate them. Thanks for tapping in. Let's see. Earl said, when are you going to stand up on a session with your new desk? You said you rap better standing up a while ago. Did I say that? That's crazy. That's crazy. Because mostly I rap sitting down nowadays. But I did do a standing session right when I got the desk set up. I did a standing session on YouTube. I haven't done a standing session on Twitch yet. So yeah, we're definitely going to have to make that happen. I've been using the standing desk for doing other types of work, emails and things like that. Because that's the type of stuff that it's really hard for me to focus on it. Like I said, it's easier for me to focus when my body's moving. I have this motion board. My feet are on it right now, so I can lean side to side and swivel and stuff like that. It's super dope. It's super dope. It's like I'm on a skateboard while I'm working, or like some kind of like hovercraft surfboard thing. It's really fire. But yeah, if I have to do emails or any type of administrative work, that's when I switch, hit the switch and elevate raise the whole setup up. It's such a dope technology, man. I'm so glad these things exist. It's amazing. But yeah, so far on Twitch, I've been sitting. Let's see. Chase Monroe, 89. What was your initial inspiration to freestyle? And what age were you when you decided to be a freestyle rapper? That's a great question. I had a lot of influences early on that were really, really important for me in terms of wanting to freestyle and improvise. When I was really little, probably third grade or so, my mom exposed me to Wayne Brady. He was on Whose Line Is It Anyway? And he's fantastic. I mean, we all know Wayne is a phenomenal entertainer and human being. And so I got to check him out when I was really young. My mom was so impressed by what he was doing on Whose Line. And so even though I was a little too young for the content of that show or whatever, she didn't care. She was like, you have to check this guy out. It's so incredible. You're going to love it. So one night, I was with my mom and we watched Who's Line and we saw Wayne do his thing. He used to bring people out of the audience, learn a few tidbits about them, and then basically create an improvised song about them right then and there on the spot. And it was so mind-blowing. I just remember saying, that's impossible. That was my reaction. That's impossible. There must be a trick. And my mom assured me, no, there's no trick. He's that good at improv. And that was the first kind of mind-blowing moment for me, right? Was realizing that it's possible to improvise at a very high level to the point where it sounds like it's composed. So that was my main inspiration in terms of making up songs on the spot. And Wayne was usually singing. He's a great rapper too, though. He's actually a great MC, but he was usually singing when he was doing that. And so, I used to just like run around the house making up little songs. My mom would encourage me, make up a song about your drive to school, our drive to school, make up a song about the breakfast you're eating right now, whatever. So that was really dope. And then in 6th grade, I discovered MC Supernatural, who, we all know is one of the greatest freestylers to ever do it. And that was sort of the second wave of getting my mind blown, because that was very much in a boom bap, hardcore hip hop context. And that was right at the time that I was becoming obsessed with hip hop. I was writing rhymes. I was keeping a rhyme book with me everywhere I went. And so to hear Supernatural on his album, The Lost Freestyle Files, which was my first exposure to him, and to hear the level to which he was freestyling, same thing happened again. Just mind blown. That's impossible. How the fuck is he doing that? And so, that set me on my second sort of trajectory of inspiration in terms of learning how to freestyle. And from there have been so many. Through Supernat, I learned about Juice. Eventually, I went to see an Atmosphere show in high school. Idea and Abilities were opening up, and I got to hear Idea freestyle live on stage for like 20 minutes straight, all off top, and the energy was unbelievable. It was one of the sickest live shows I had ever seen at that point, probably still. And that was huge. On YouTube, I started discovering people like King Los, who was just mind-blowing to me and still is one of the greatest to freestyle. So, yeah, there have been so many influences through the years. Black Thought, Common, Snoop Dogg, Freestyle Fellowship, Micah 9, AC Alone in them. Yeah, so many. So that's a great question. The second part of your question, though, is interesting. When did I decide that I was going to be a freestyle rapper? The funny thing is, I really didn't decide until I started making content, like 2017. I didn't say, oh, well, this is going to be my profession, or when people ask me what I do, I'm going to say I'm a freestyle rapper. I never looked at it like that. From the whole time I was growing up as a kid, all through middle school, high school, even all the way through college, when I was ciphering for 2 or 3 hours a night in the dorms and performing at parties with a live band, freestyling the whole set. I was really going hard as a freestyle rapper, but I never looked at it as like, okay, I'm making this decision now. This is what I do, right? I never put that pressure on it in terms of it like defining me as a career. Little did I know it was defining me, right? As a human being. It was defining my soul. It was my whole heart and soul, even at that time. I just didn't, look at it as like something monetary or a way that I was going to make money or something like that. So I think paradoxically, never deciding to officially consider myself a freestyle rapper actually allowed me to get a lot better, because I wasn't putting that pressure on it. I was staying tuned into the love the whole time. It was just like, I love doing this, so I'm going to do this every day for as long as I possibly can. Not because I've made a decision to, now pursue this career path. No, fuck that. All I want to do is freestyle. So, any spare moment I have, I'm going to throw a beat on and freestyle. And I still try to stay in tune with that, even though now, of course, I am officially a freestyle rapper. That's how you all know me. That's why you're all here. But yeah, great question. Thank you, Chase Monroe. Hey, Shy Guy Twin, thank you for the props. That's what's up. So I've been staying at the top. I'm wondering, should I shuffle the deck while we're doing these? I probably should sometimes, right? I just go in order, but I should probably shuffle the deck sometimes. I usually do. I'm going to take one more from the row, and then I'm going to shuffle the deck. But y'all can ask your questions again, obviously, so don't feel bad. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to shuffle the deck right now. Let's go. KF. How do you see your life changing in the next 10 years? It currently seems to work well for you, But do you see yourself in front of major crowds outdoors, or do you want to keep on of this kind of space? Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I want to do it all, man. I want to do it all. You know, my goal really at the end of the day is to reduce human suffering by inspiring and uplifting people with the highest level of freestyle lyrical improvisation imaginable. That's my goal, right? I used to say I want to be the best freestyler in the world. Now it's bigger than that, you know, and you all have shown me that it's bigger than that, because of the types of reactions that I see when I'm with people like you on Happy Hour, you know, the types of reactions that I've seen when I'm with random strangers on Omegle or random strangers out in public back when it was safe to do guerrilla bars. I mean, the impact that live music, and especially improvised music that's created based on the energy that the audience is contributing live in the moment, I mean, that's the illest shit in the whole universe, I guarantee you. I believe that, right? And so to see how impactful it can be and how much it can help people and inspire people and uplift people has just been incredible for me. So that's my goal, right? Is to make the world a better place, to inspire and uplift, to help people shift their focus to something more positive, you know, through providing them with the dopest freestyles imaginable. You know, I still want to be the best. You know, I'm always driven to try to be the best. Without comparing myself to others, you know, I want to be the best that I can be. I want to be better than my previous level. You know, I want to continue pushing the boundary and elevating, but not just so that I can say, look, I'm the best, right? Look how dope I am. Look, I keep getting better. It's not about that at all. It's so that I can have an even bigger impact. And so to answer your question, yeah, man, any venue, the world is my venue, right? Guerrilla Bars, that was the whole concept behind that name. So not only live on Twitch or live on YouTube, you know, and I'll of course continue doing that because these platforms are incredible and allow me to really achieve that goal in a major way in terms of helping people feel better about themselves through the craft of freestyle. But yeah, major festival stages outdoors, man. Small clubs and venues in random towns throughout America, cruise ships. I want to be the first dude to freestyle on a space shuttle. Fuck it, man. I want to do all of it. You know what I'm saying? I want to tour the world, man. I want to go to every corner of the globe and see if I can lift people up and, you know, share some positive energy with people, and learn from people. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what we're all about, man. Great question. Vives, what's up, bro? Can you comment on rumors that Garfu and Lil Wayne are actually the same person? I can't, bro. I can't comment. I have a career, man. I got to be careful. I can't leak that information, but that's like some FBI level shit, bro. Kezia 0007, are you going to make a YouTube video with all these Q&As? Quite possibly. We're definitely going to be repurposing the Q&A content for other platforms, and we have some exciting announcements in that department coming soon, so just stay tuned. But yeah, we're definitely going to, you know how we do, man. We hit all platforms, baby. Mack official. Great question. Super, what's up? Thank you for the subscription. Just want to show some thanks. Shout out Bendover97. Thanks for the bits. Chase Monroe. Appreciate that subscription. Let's get it. Mandolin Medic, 2 months strong. Let's go. It's all good, boss. Subscribing. Albino, what up? Check out Filipino food. You won't be disappointed. That's what's up. I definitely got to do that. I'm trying to think about if I've had Filipino food. I played drums on a cruise ship once, and like pretty much the whole staff that worked, you know, under the ship where we were living as the musicians were Filipino, and so they were working in the kitchen and stuff. So I think it was like Filipino inspired cuisine. But I definitely got to get hip to the real shit. Rome Diz, are you a sneakerhead? What's your favorite sneaker? It's funny because I'm a sneakerhead that doesn't like to spend money on sneakers. I think they're dope as fuck, and I love nerding out and looking at dope sneakers that I wish I had. But I just, you know, I'm not like rich enough to where I feel like I just want to blow a bunch of money on sneakers. It's not a priority for me in terms of spending. So I don't have like an epic collection or anything like that. But my favorite sneaker is like a Nike Dunk for sure. I love you very much. Said you mess with Tokens music. Hell yeah. I got to open for Token actually here in LA like a year ago or so. And that was super fire. And it was dope to see him rock the show as well. It was at the Roxy in LA, in Hollywood. And he threw down, man. He brought a lot of energy. It was really dope to see. So yeah, shout out to Token. He's super dope. MVP Token. What made you come back to YouTube? I guess you're probably referring to like the year or so that I took off when I was working on my album. Contents Under Pressure. Yeah, man, that's a great question, actually. That was an interesting time, right? So I'm somebody that has been a musician their whole life. You all know that. I've talked about that a lot. My first instrument was the violin when I was 7, started playing drums at 10. That's around the same time I fell in love with hip hop and really started freestyling around 12 years old. So I'm someone that's been steadily grinding in the music world since I was a kid and started playing professionally, by the time I was in high school. Even a little bit before that, I did a couple gigs as a drummer, even in middle school, because there were some dope bands in Portland that were willing to give me a look back then, because they wanted to see me do well. They recognized the talent and they wanted to give me some opportunities to shine. So shout out to all my musical mentors from Portland. But yeah, I was grinding professionally, doing gigs and things like that, and just working at it on that slow burn and really scraping by for many, many years, not making any money, zero headroom, barely paying my bills and making my rent, doing bar gigs and things like that around LA. And, all of a sudden in December 2016, everything changed because I got a little taste of the potential for me, to really pursue my actual spirit path, right, as a freestyler. I mean, to really lean into the path that's meant for me. And I was denying it, because I was afraid of it, right? And because society told me I was supposed to be a drummer because that's what my college degree said. Right? What the fuck? But anyway, I was trapped. I was trapped in some mental some mental cages, I was in the mental maze, so to speak, and I couldn't navigate out of it on my own. But luckily I got shaken out of it at the end of 2016, and in the beginning of 2017 it even went to a whole nother level with the Venice Beach video. So basically I went viral, right? I mean, that is what happened. I went viral in February 2017 in a very real way. And that's a crazy experience, when that happens. It's obviously really dope. It's incredible. You're thankful to have this new platform, but it's overwhelming at the same time, right? And I didn't know how to navigate that. I didn't have a team at all. I didn't have a manager. All of a sudden, my email was flooded. My Facebook messages were flooded. Everybody was hitting me up left and right. And, it sounds generic and cliche to say, but really it was like I was spinning. I was dizzy from all of it. I didn't know what to do. And at that time, I was sort of stuck in another kind of mental trap where, I kind of believed that doing freestyle content for YouTube wasn't going to allow me to, level up and be taken seriously in the music industry, And again, that was just a fallacy that, I was led to believe, I was sort of... I don't know. It was just, again, one of those kind of excuses we make inside our own brain, or those kind of blocks and barriers we put up for no reason. So I thought that I needed to transition into a more traditional, music path in terms of dropping hot singles, trying to go to radio, going on tour. I thought I had to do it the regular way. You know what I mean? I thought I had to be cool. Without realizing that I am cool. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people struggle with this type of shit. I thought that I had to do something that would impress everybody else in the industry, or something that would impress, potential managers or record labels. I thought that I had to do something for them without taking the time to listen to my heart and listen to myself. So essentially, I stopped doing YouTube for about a year, and I was trying to figure out how to be a real rapper. Again, without recognizing that I am a real motherfucking rapper. You know what I'm saying? And all of those little barriers we put up in our minds don't help anything. They hold us back. So luckily, I got to do some soul searching. After that year, I put the record out. I'm super proud of the record. And, I'm very excited to continue making music for y'all. But but I'm not going to force anything like I did during that phase. You know, I'm not going to put up any more walls. I'm going to work in the way that works for me and makes me happy from now till the grave. I can't go back to forcing things or trying to impress other people. You know, I'm just going to do my thing. That's a great question. MVP token. Thank you for that. Main Method said, the question that burns in my soul is, do you own any shirts that have prints or only solid color shirts? That's hilarious. Yeah, I got some shirts with prints, man. Especially my own merch. I have one of everything that we've ever sold in the merch store, multiples of some things. So yeah, you'll see me wearing more prints, man. But I'm like in the black t-shirt suit, man. I feel like Steve Jobs or whatever. You know, he didn't want to have to devote any mental energy to deciding what he was going to wear for the day. It just seemed like a waste of mental energy. I tend to agree with that. You know, I don't give a fuck, man. I just want to wake up and think about more important things, like how to level up my freestyling, how to be a better human being, you know, that type of shit. So that's hilarious. Great question. Ethan 055550. How's your spice tolerance? Ever consider freestyling after eating a ghost pepper? I like spicy food, man. I like spicy food, but I don't know if I need to have that particular experience. It's hard enough freestyling when you just drinking water and eating healthy. You know, I can't imagine what it's like when your head's about to light on fire. But, you know, I'd consider doing it for a publicity stunt, you know, or if I got to go on Hot Ones or whatever, I'd definitely, you know, get on board. Do. Will you ever or have you used the beat from Not Ready in any other videos? That beat and flow is great. Oh, that's a good call. I actually haven't. I don't even know if I have an instrumental because I've done it live a few times. Yeah, that's a good call. I should throw that in the Harry Mack Freestyle Beats playlist. I finally added proof to the playlist. It didn't even dawn on me that I could use the instrumentals from my own songs. Like, duh. You know, I just had like a freestyle beats folder for beats that I kind of made not to make songs to, but just to have stuff to rhyme on. But yeah, that's a good call. Shout out to everybody, all the day one supporters that rock with Not Ready and know about some of my earlier music. Mr. Cookie Bruh, do you have another job other than streaming? Oh yeah, definitely. But I don't have another job other than music and content creation. But it's not only streaming for me. You know, I do you know, virtual performances and gigs. You know, I create custom freestyles and create content for all types of platforms, not only live stream content. But yeah, I'm full-time music, full-time content creation, which is an absolute blessing and a dream come true. I feel so fucking fortunate. And it's only possible because of all of you. And I'm talking to you right now watching, wherever you're at, whoever you are. Thank you for being a part of this, seriously, because this is all I've ever wanted to do, and I just feel so blessed that I'm able to support myself doing this full-time. To make my living making hip-hop, you know, that's something we used to dream about and talk about when we were 12 years old up in Brady's attic with the Radio Shack mic, you know, freestyling through his parents', you know, dusty old speakers for the record player and shit like that. So yeah, it's incredible, man. Great question. Woo Lamb, do you wish events like Scribble Jam were still active? Oh hell yeah, man. Scribble Jam is dope as fuck. I'm just happy that, you know, there's so much archival footage of the ciphers and battles and freestyle sessions that went down. So much legendary footage from those sessions available on YouTube. So, you know, I've watched it all. I never got to attend a Scribble Jam or anything like that. But hell yeah, that'd be dope. I wonder if they'll bring it back. Panty Thief. Who you got on the IG battle? E40 or Too Short? Oh, damn. Oh, my God. When is that? I got to check that out, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. Shout out to the Bay, man. I mean, I love both, you know. I love both. They're both legends, of course, in their own right. But I think I probably rocked with E40's music a bit more, if I'm being honest. So I don't know, man. It's like choosing which of your parents you love more, you know. But I'm gonna say E40. I'm gonna say E40. Is Harry in a new room? Background looks different. Shout out to Main Method. No, I'm not in a new room. It's just a different angle. So the camera used to be on this side, looking at me from this way. So you were seeing this wall, and now the camera's over on this side, looking at the other wall. But I'm really digging it, man. I'm really digging it. I had to make some adjustments when I got my new desk and my new setup. The room's just laid out a little bit differently, so it didn't work to have my camera where it was before. Plus, I was always twisting my neck so much to address the camera. This is a little more of a middle ground between like the full profile and the and just the full straight on. So plus we got the low-key tiny desk vibes behind me with my what's that called? Fucking what is that called? Shelves. Great question. Great question. King Chief, is there anyone on Omegle not letting you use their clip? Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a bunch of people that I did a full verse for them, and they were like, nah, you can't use it. Yep, definitely happens. Fat Zach said, do you go to church? No, I don't. I'm not religious in the sense that I don't follow any kind of organized religion. Great question. Ducky Y Dota, yo Harry, do you still talk to Jordan Flack? Yeah, we just texted this morning. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, we still talk. Gelmore 0870, when can we see you making some songs and bangers? I want a Harry playlist for real. Oh man, nobody wants that more than me, bro. We definitely are making moves right now to get that going. Yeah, big plans for 2021 in terms of getting more music out in song form, you know, getting tracks out, getting projects out on Spotify, Apple Music, and things like that. And I think, you know, there's a lot of potential for freestyle-based songs coming out in the very near future. So yeah, stay tuned for that, man. But I'm definitely excited to get some, you know, produced music out to you guys and get that popping as well. All right, let me shuffle the deck again. Yeah. Don Zach said, never heard of some people that Harry freestyles over, and now I wished I heard of them ages ago. That's dope. That's dope, actually. Yeah, I assume you're talking about the YouTube streams where we have them themed based on different artists and producers and things like that. Look, there's just so much dope hip-hop out there, and, you know, I'm discovering new shit all the time, but there are also just so many legends that have influenced me through the years, and I feel like now that I have this platform, you know, it's important for me to make sure that, you know, some of these maybe lesser known artists or producers to some of my fans anyway, are getting that exposure that they deserve. So I think that's a really dope element in terms of me doing the themed streams on YouTube with different, you know, artists and producers. Using their instrumentals is that it, you know, shines some light on some of these people that maybe some of my fans, you know, haven't heard of yet. So that's really dope, Don Zach. Thanks for mentioning that. Will we ever see the Omegle Bar bloopers? Not in terms of people who said no, because I can't put that out. But other than that, there aren't really a lot of bloopers, really. I mean, there aren't like funny, entertaining bloopers. All that there would be is like a performance that wasn't up to my standard or whatever. It was, the freestyle was a little weak. Let's not put it out type of thing. But even that, there's not too many of those. Usually if I'm able to get through a full performance and the person says I can use it, it'll get out to you guys eventually. So there really aren't too many bloopers. Or it's just people skipping me over, you know, a bunch of people skipping me in a row. You know, I don't think that's particularly interesting. Great question though. Patty Rick 17 said, what is the hardest word or sound of words to rhyme? Good question. I mean, there's a lot of classic rhyming, or a lot of classic words that people know don't really have a lot of rhymes with them. One of the ones that confused my brain for a long time before I sat and dealt with it was wolf. And that's, you know, everybody knows that. That's one of those ones that's hard to rhyme with, right? Like orange and purple and whatever. But orange and purple are easy. Wolf baffled my mind for a while, and still to a degree, it's a weird one. I found that I can use push and cush and shush and those type of words to rhyme with wolf. Oddly enough, it didn't sound like it rhymed right there, but in context, it can work. Slant rhymes are very interesting. You can really bend words and put a little swag on them to make them rhyme even when they don't. So, but yeah, wolf is one that just for whatever reason, it baffled me. Like when I saw, because usually I'm quick to jump to a slant rhyme. I'm like, oh, okay, we can obviously go here. But that was one where I was like, damn, I don't know of a slant rhyme. But now I'm kind of using that sort of like push, cush vibe. Wolf. Anyway, great question. Zero Stress Tech said, what has been your favorite growth that has resulted from the lockdown? I think for me personally, looking on the positive side, because obviously there's so much pain associated with everything that's happened in 2020 with COVID and so much loss and so much change. But I think for me personally, the biggest kind of growth that's come out of it is just having the opportunity to really lock in to a schedule, lock into a routine for creative work, and lock into a routine for streaming and putting content out and, really being consistent to a whole nother degree, and I've also had the opportunity to expand my team and to bring people like Khan in or Todd, who edits our long form work, or Sam, who's now on the team helping with social media content. Being able to expand the team has been really awesome for me as well. And so, as painful as 2020 has been for so many people and for all of us, really, right? We're all connected. So if anybody's struggling during this time, we all feel that and we all suffer from that. But there's also been a lot of positive growth, for me personally, as an artist and as a creative person and just as a human being. So I think having that time to yourself, there is a lot of value to that, and it's unfortunate that the way that a lot of us got there was through this sort of tragic event that's been unfolding in terms of the pandemic. But, at least that's a bright side and something positive that we can look to that has come as a result of the pandemic, right? It's not all dark. There's a lot of darkness, but it's not all dark. There's a lot of light there too. Great question. Donzak90 said, in the first Omegle, you showed a blooper. What changed your mind for the rest? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. With the woman who we blurred her face out and she was saying, I can't remember what she said, but she said something really wild. Yeah. There hasn't been a ton of that stuff, man. I mean, there's some funny, weird stuff. I should do a better job of flagging weird bloopers like that. That would be fun. So now I kind of see what you mean in terms of bloopers. But nothing really changed, to be honest with you. I guess I just kind of haven't come across too many others that really stood out to me as necessary to use in that capacity. Great question. Let's see. Nocturnal said, hey, Harry, amazing to learn more about you. Do you have a favorite battle or battler? Definitely greatest hip-hop battle of all time, in my opinion, is Juice versus Supernatural. That's just the most legendary. So that's always going to be my favorite battle. In terms of favorite battlers, I'm going to say Mack. He's nasty. But there are a lot of great ones, man. Shout out to the whole battle rap community and everybody out there crushing it on the battle rap scene. That shit is inspiring, man. I've spoken before about the fact that I'm really not a battler like that. I'm way more about just ciphering and being positive and having fun and letting everybody get down. But there's a lot to be learned from studying those battle MCs, man. Lyrically speaking, they're on a whole nother plane. That's interesting. Earl E28 said, can't you edit out the video and just show your raps? I assume you mean for Omegle bars where they said they don't want me to use the video. I guess, maybe. Yeah, I guess we could edit out their video and just use the freestyle. But, so much of what makes that content magical is seeing the reactions and seeing the other person's face. So I just don't know if it would really be worthwhile to do that, especially when there's so much content that we do get to use that also has the reaction. We're not like really scraping the barrel for quality content where they have said, yes, we can use it. And also, I'm just not 100% sure I would be comfortable doing that anyway. If they said they don't want to be a part of the video, I kind of just want to respect that. But that is an interesting idea, Earl. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's see. Goose Griff Goose E. Griff said, when you're doing freestyles, do you ever feel when it's going to be an especially good one? If so, how can you tell? Love the energy, man. Thank you for all the effort you put into your content. Keep doing you. Thank you so much for the props. Shout out to Norway in the house. Let's get it. That still blows my mind how international this shit really is. Shout out to Norway. Shout out to you, Goose. Great question. Do I feel when it's going to be an especially good one? Yeah, certainly, to a degree. I mean, at the micro level, I can feel when it's about to be a savage line, right? Because I conceptualize the line and I'm like, oh, that's good. Right? And then I do a setup that works perfectly and I can feel that it's just going to land right in rhythm, right in the pocket. And you can see me dig in on the delivery and really serve it, you know? Yo, my lyrics all be tight. I'm the freestyle chemist like Walter White. Like right there, for example. Like I knew that was a fire line right there and I knew I had to ramp up the delivery to make sure that it was felt. So yeah, oh shit, somebody's mowing the lawn right out there. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Shout out to the leaf blower or the lawn mower. Leaf blowers and lawn mowers, y'all know how we do. Yeah, so on the micro level, I know when I'm about to have like what I consider to be a kind of like a dope line, right? And then on the macro, you know, I am now aware of when I'm in a flow state, so to speak, you know? I have awareness of times where I'm just really in it and I'm not overthinking and I'm letting the ideas flow through me and emerge naturally and I'm, you know, not forcing anything. And I'm not judging anything, and I'm just in the moment, and it's all happening, and it's all working, and it's reaching that next level, right? I can feel that. I'm aware of that when that's happening. If I think about it too much or celebrate it too much, that will actually pull me out of the flow state, right? If I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm in flow state today. It's really happening. I'm crushing it. This is great. Every freestyle is about to be top tier. That's right when I fall out of that flow state, right? So it's one of those kind of tricky situations where I can't let it consume my conscious thought that I'm in that flow state, but I can certainly feel it, and I just try to keep that sort of light focus and ride that wave. Great question. Are there any causes or benefits that you are personally attached to that you plan to support throughout your career? Yeah, 100%. And we've supported, you know, various charities in the streams in the past. You know, one thing that I'm really big on that I want to do more, outreach for and more charity for through the streams is mental health. You know, people dealing with depression and anxiety, because those are things that I've dealt with myself, you know, not as severely as some other people, but, you know, certainly those are things that I've dealt with, you know, low self-esteem, fear. Those are things that have held me back for a long time, you know, most of my life. So I think that mental health is really high on the list for me in terms of causes that I want to support and speak on. Yeah, you know, and I think, you know, there's a lot of others. And y'all have seen me speak out, you know, in the Fuck Cancer stream. We did a charity for the Last Prisoner Project, which deals with people who are, you know, serving years of time. Some are even serving life sentences for minor marijuana offenses. And of course now, you know, now at the federal level, marijuana has been decriminalized. So the fact that somebody who was caught with a joint for the third time and as a result of the third strikes thing, you know, are now serving a life sentence for something where now I can go into a shop that looks like the Apple Store and buy a pre-rolled joint from a company that makes them, right, legally. Just the frustration and the pain that somebody must feel to be inside a prison cell for the rest of their life, knowing that what they are in there for is now completely acceptable in society. That one's really hard to grapple with, you know, and that's something that, you know, affects Black and brown communities far more than it affects, you know, white communities. And so that's obviously another huge one for me is you know, social equality and you know, all of the issues that we've seen, you know, kind of bubble up, especially now in 2020, not for the first time, but, you know, with the protests and things that have occurred, you know, we're really seeing how, you know, unequal the playing field really is for a lot of people and how, you know, systemic racism is real and how it affects, you know, Black and brown communities and, you know, the concept of white privilege and things like that. So I definitely want to continue supporting causes that are working to, improve society in that respect as well. And I think it's especially important for me, to speak out on those things as a white artist in hip hop, which of course, hip hop, now it's global, right? And it's the biggest genre in the world, but certainly when it started and for most of its existence and even today, hip hop was black art. Now it's universal and it's on the biggest stage. It's the most popular form, but the roots of hip hop are black. It was invented by black Americans as an expression of, the black American experience. And that's something that I personally will never be able to relate to as a white man in America, right? So I just feel very blessed to be able to participate in hip hop. I feel, so fortunate that, I'm making my career in hip hop. And like I said, that's something we used to dream about when we were 12 years old in the attic freestyling. And this music has just had such a positive impact on my heart and on my life and my soul. And like I said, it's given me a purpose, and it's given me so much. And for me as a white person, participating in this black art, I think it's important for me to fight for equality for black people in society and not just borrow from the culture and not acknowledge the need to stand up for the people. So those are some causes that I care about a lot, man, just to kind of open up and speak on that. Great question. Thank you for asking me that. Julian Gross, I'm going to do a few more questions and then I got to hop off. I'm doing a performance later today. Julian, what's going on? My YouTube superhero triumvirate. Wow, you got me on some new vocab, bro. Triumvirate is you, Mark Rebillet, and Tom Thumb. I know you are familiar with Mark. Yes, he's incredible. Do you also know Tom? I am not familiar with Tom Thumb, so you're putting me on game. You're teaching me a new word, and you're teaching me about a new YouTuber, apparently, so I got to get up on game. I will definitely check out Tom Thumb. What do they do? Let me know. Let me shuffle the deck here real quick. Main Method said, hey, Julian, thanks for those gifts, man. Thanks for gifting those subs. That's what's up. Main Method said, have you ever thought about uploading a drumming video? It would be dope to see one from you. No doubt, man. That would be sick. The thing is, I would have to start practicing right now and post the video in like a couple months because I know I'm rusty as fuck on the drums. I really haven't been playing drums like that, man. I've been full-time freestyling, full-time hip-hop. It would be something where I'd want to kind of brush the cobwebs off and get back into shape to where I would feel comfortable sharing a drumming video. A lot of people have been asking me to do that from the beginning, and I always say, and it's true, I'm using my drumming education in all of the freestyling that I'm doing. My understanding of rhythm and groove, my understanding of how to lay back or push or be on top of the beat, rhythmic phrasing, melodic phrasing, it all comes from my experience as a drummer and as a jazz musician. So it's all happening all the time, but I would definitely want to put some time in the practice room before I hopped on and did a drumming video. And like I said earlier, man, it's tough, but I got to a point where I had to make some choices. You know what I mean? And I can only really go full force on one or two things at once, really just one thing. I kind of had to hone in and have that tunnel vision in terms of focusing on my trajectory as an MC. And I couldn't be happier. I really think that that's what speaks to me the strongest. I think that what I really feel is strongest in my heart is being an MC and being a rapper and expressing myself that way. So as much as I love playing the drums and, as much as I love making beats and, I'm not saying I'll never go back to doing either of those things. I hope that I do at some point. But right now, I'm really pushing as hard as I can towards my main purpose, which, as I was speaking on earlier, is to, inspire and uplift people through freestyling. So, but yeah, drumming video would be dope down the line. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. Let me shuffle it again. Let's see what we got. Dan Smith, 689, said, did you ever hear Juice WRLD freestyle? He's the reason why I started listening to freestyle raps and found you. That's amazing. What an incredible introduction to freestyling. Juice WRLD is phenomenal. Rest in peace. What a loss. What a tragic loss for hip-hop. May his legacy continue on strong. Yeah, Juice WRLD was phenomenal. I was late, to get on the Juice WRLD train. Luckily, I came to understand his incredible talent while he was still alive. It's tragic that, he died not too long after I started really fucking with him. But he had just an undeniable talent, and it's evidenced in the incredible output that he's had even in the short amount of time that he was here working as an artist. It's crazy to imagine how far he would have taken it had he stuck around. But yeah, rest in peace to Juice WRLD. He's fantastic. Dr. James 25 said, where do you get all your sick beats from? Great question. I make beats myself and freestyle over my own productions sometimes. I freestyle most of the time nowadays over beats by That Kid Goran, who is an incredible producer that you all need to check out. Go fuck with his YouTube channel. That Kid Goran. That Kid Goran is fantastic. I also freestyle over beats from other producers on YouTube, Homage Beats, Temper Beats, and all types of other really, really dope producers in the YouTube community, because I love showing love to, fellow members of the YouTube music community. On YouTube, I freestyle over classic instrumentals, right? And that. It's all broken down in the thumbnail and explained for you there in the title. But, I'll freestyle over classic hip-hop beats from my favorite producers and favorite artists, which I love to do. That's incredibly inspiring. Right now, the beats that you're hearing in the background are courtesy of Epidemic Sound, which is really dope for any content creators. You can sign up on a monthly basis, so you have a monthly membership, and you get to use any music from their catalog in your content or while you're streaming. And it's all, royalty free, and you won't get flagged for copyright or anything like that. So this is a playlist on Spotify from Epidemic Sound, with whom I have an account, and it's basically a lo-fi beats playlist. So it's perfect for this type of stream. So yeah, I think that covers all of it. That's where I get all my beats from. The Tenacious G. When can we anticipate some new studio records? Waiting to put you at number one where you deserve. Keep them positive vibes going. No doubt. We touched on this earlier. I'm definitely going to get some new music out to you guys real soon. I think top of 2021, we're going to start going hard in terms of releasing singles and projects and mixtapes and all that, man. I'm going to make freestyle-based records because that's what I do best. So I'm not going to sit down and write a song with a pen and pad or anything like that. But I'm going to do what I do and what you all know me for and love me for. And I'm going to channel that into making official recordings and get those out to y'all. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you for subscribing, SPKR34. Let's go. Let's see what's popping. I gotta bounce here. I'm gonna take two more questions, and I'm gonna sip some water because I'm sounding a bit raspy. Let's see, what do we got? This is interesting. Sessions, what's your 5 favorite tips for freestyle? I don't, off the top of my head, have like my 5 ready to go favorite tips or anything like that. I'll say this. Number 1, most important thing, listen. You have to listen to classic hip hop records. Now, when I say classic hip hop records, that just means classic to you, right? You got to listen to whatever speaks to your heart and soul. When you listen to hip hop and rap, whichever artists or records you fall in love with, those are your personal classics. That's what you need to listen to. Now, I do think that there are some quintessential records from hip-hop history that you should at least check out, right? But that's just my personal opinion. I think you could become really great just by listening to your own personal classics. But, I think that the history is important. So I think, there are some records where it's like, yo, you haven't heard Wu-Tang 36 Chambers? Like, you haven't ever listened to Wu-Tang 36 Chambers? You should probably check it out, just because it's literally influenced everybody. But again, I think as long as you're listening to your personal classics, whoever you love the most, right? And you don't have to love anybody just because somebody told you do. You don't even have to love Wu-Tang in the 30s. All right, so that's number one. You got to listen. Number two, you got to practice daily, right? And you can start today, right? And you can say, oh, I don't know what to practice, or I've never rapped before. Yeah, I know. So tomorrow, you won't be able to say that as long as you make a little time to practice today. If you literally have no idea what to do, you can do a gibberish rap, right? I've showed that in some of my streams before where you can just rap with sounds, cadences, whatever. Or you could rap the same line over and over and over. I've showed that before too, right? Hey, yo, I'm just sitting right here in my chair. Hey, yo, I'm just sitting right here in my chair. I said I'm sitting right here in my chair, right? Make a little hook about sitting in your chair. There's no excuse to not start practicing right now today. So listen to your personal classics. Start practicing right now today. I would say start learning about rhythm, right? And there's a lot of different ways that you can start learning about rhythm. One great thing would be to rap along with your favorite songs, right? If you're rapping along with your favorite rap songs, hopefully whoever you're listening to has good rhythm. They probably do. If there's somebody that is well known enough for you to have found them and appreciate their music, then they probably have great rhythm. So if you're matching up with them and all your syllables are perfectly aligning with theirs, then you're learning rhythm through osmosis just by that practice of matching the music, right? You could also consider, getting like a demo of some kind of like beat making software, or buying a light version for $99 or whatever, and get a little beat pad, like this, and start kind of banging away on some boom, bap, boom, boom, bap to learn about rhythm that way. You could get some little, like a shaker or a tambourine, some little cheap percussion instrument, or you can make a lot of rhythm with your body. Bap, boom, boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, boom, bap, right? But one way or another, you got to start learning rhythm. You got to start familiarizing yourself with rhythm and cadence and flow, because without that, it's not going to sound the way you want it to sound. So where are we at? We got 3. Listening to your personal classics, practicing daily, starting to learn about rhythm. Number 4 is you got to start building out your personal rhyming inventory. So the way to do that is just to start experimenting with rhymes, start playing around like a kid in a sandpit. Pick any random word and come up with as many rhyming sounds as you can, right? So start with simple 1-syllable words if you've never done it before. Head, dead, lead, said, meds, right? Whatever. Hand, sand, bland, brand, can, damn, scan, stand, right? Whatever. And see how many come to you. In the beginning, you might not come up with that many, and they might not come to you quickly. You'll be on hand, fan, right? And that's perfect. That's exactly where you're supposed to be, right? And so if that was 4, listen to your personal classics, start practicing daily, start learning about rhythm, start building up your rhyming inventory by just playing around with rhyming sounds. If you're more intermediate, then it can be camera, stamina, amateur, damage ya, blamming ya, slam it up, fan of us, man, I'm tough, right? You can go multi-syllabic, so to speak. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. And then I'll say number 5, be patient. And that should arguably be higher on the list, but we got it in our top 5, so that's solid. You have to be patient and you have to be honest, right? You should be working at the exact level that you are at right now today. If you've never freestyled before, then your level is at the most beginner possible level imaginable. And that's beautiful because you're starting your journey, right? Every time, there's a spectrum. Everybody who's just starting their freestyle journey is here right at the beginning. And then over here, you got Nas, Rakim, Biggie, Supernat, whoever it is that's the GOAT to you, right? And so we're all just somewhere in that spectrum. Trying to get down. So let's just be cool about it, and let's be honest with ourselves and be patient and recognize that to go from that beginning start of your journey to Rakim, there's a lifetime's worth of work in there, right? There's certainly years worth of work in there that needs to be taken seriously and that needs to be respected, right? So there's no way to fast forward. There's no secrets. There's no little tricks. There's no, magic, course. I mean, I'm working on educational materials for freestyling, but one thing you'll never see me pitch is that my course will make you a great freestyler within 1 week, right? Because that's fucking impossible, right? So I can share the information with you, but it takes years of practice to become a great freestyler. So those are my top 5 tips for anybody aspiring to freestyle. One more time from the top. Make sure you're listening to your personal classics. Make sure you're practicing daily. No excuses on that. Make sure that you are learning about rhythm somehow. Make sure that you are expanding your rhyming vocabulary, building up that rhyming inventory by playing around with rhyming sounds, and be patient. Let's get it. Okay. I know I said I was going to take 2 more, but I actually got to get out of here. That was a longer one than I anticipated. Want to show a little gratitude. Shout out to SPKR34 giving that gifted sub. Shout out to ShirtyBag515. Appreciate the bits. Risky Biscuit Band giving out a community sub. Thank you so much. Damn, SPKR been in here 7 months strong. Really appreciate you, bro. That's love. Chris Stone, 85, gifting a sub. Julian Gross coming back in, gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Let's get it. Appreciate y'all so much. And there's many more people who have been supporting throughout the stream that I haven't been able to shout out. Just know I love you. I appreciate you. None of this would be possible without you. Shout out to all 400 people in here watching the Q&A session. I am blown away by the level of support. Really excited to continue doing these, man. It's been a lot of fun just building with you guys. I do a lot of freestyling online in a lot of different capacities, but it's really dope to have this opportunity to just converse with y'all, build with y'all, dig a little deeper. I appreciate the questions you're asking that are really making me step back and think about things. So yeah, thank you for engaging in the energy exchange. Let's see if there's somebody we can raid right now. I don't know if there are any. Oh yeah, is there a raid recommendation? I won't fuck it up this time. Last time I messed up the raid. I told you that's the thing I'm the worst at when it comes to being a Twitch streamer, is raiding. All right, but we're not gonna fuck it up today. Who y'all want to go hang with? Okay, here we go. Here's my chance to not mess up. What happens if I just click the link? Do y'all see that going crazy like that? Oh, that works. Okay, dope. So we'll do that. Thank you, access denied. Appreciate that. Boom. We got it. Yeah, once again, shout out to the whole community. Thank y'all so much for being here. New content in the works. Super excited to keep building with y'all, man. Looking forward to the next one. All right. So keep shining, stay positive, and we'll catch up soon. Peace.